Hi, there's Life Prepare. Something I want to talk about. My son's been living out of a backpack for years. He calls himself an urban prepper, basically. Now, it's a hard life. Now, he made that choice. Now, I don't belittle him for it. I'm not ashamed of him on it. This is his choice of life. People who live out of their backpacks, it's not an easy life. Now, every time I see someone stand on a street corner with a sign, I think about my son. I can't help it. But he's made his choice. You do not have to do drugs or alcohol to live out of a backpack. That's something you don't have to do, but unfortunately, many of them do live that lifestyle. And they end up in and out of jail and stuff. And my son has. He will do good and he'll go without it for a while and he'll straighten himself up and then he falls right back off the wagon. Living that lifestyle makes a lot of choices. You walk away from things, whether it's your family, your children, a job, a home, whatever it is. Now, not all of them out there are out there begging. Many of them don't beg for anything. They've learned how to survive by living off the land. They spend days, weeks, months out there on the trails. They have a tent. They live out there. That is their life, and they enjoy living like that. Many of them will get jobs for a while and build up some money and save it up so they can afford to be traveling in. They don't want to stay in any place very long, but they keep their ID up and everything. They get them a job and they stay one of those rent by week rooms or whatever it is for a while until they save up money. I've worked with a lot of people like that in the restaurant business who would stay for a few months until they got the money saved up and then it was gone again. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. The downfall is on it is the lifestyle. It can make you old before your time. Many of them don't have facilities to go to for health care. They get sick, they get hurt, they don't have the insurance for it. I seen one guy who was living in tents. He had been bit by a brown recluse and he was pulling all the rotted flesh out of the bottom of his foot. So that is the downfall right there. Also trying to keep warm, finding places to sleep. So a lot of them gets arrested for staying in abandoned buildings or buildings as houses for sale, whatever. They break into them to try to stay out of the weather. And unfortunately, a lot of times the places get caught on fire in that situation. They try to find places they can stay. They squat somewhere until they get run off or arrested or whatever. Now, my son's told me that he has been chased out of a park. He was just sitting there and the maintenance man walked over and said, "We don't want your kind here. You need to leave." They got chased out. He has what I call the street look. You can see the look in their face, in their eyes, their character manner. It's just something there. It's a look within them that has developed over time. I'm not saying it was overnight. It developed over time because of the lifestyle that he lives. He has told me he has wore shoes that was too small and got blisters on his feet from trying to wear them. He's wore the same socks for weeks at a time. He would go weeks without really eating anything. I mean, he stays small, but he would go weeks without eating anything, basically. Now, I try to teach him some living off the land techniques. I don't know if he absorbed any of that because he was more into the environment of the urban lifestyle. He prefers the warmer climates. Now, the problem is, too, he would wear his welcome out. He has a disorder that he really needs help treated with meds, just like I am. I'm on my meds. I'm treated with it. I know other people's on their meds. My med's very strong. Without it, I would manage, but I would still be in pretty bad shape in many ways. I've learned how to control it for the most part. on an outer appearance. Now, because of this, he makes up excuses for many things. He's right. He knows what he's doing. He's educated. He's this. He's that. It's everybody else's fault but him. He has burnt bridges so much from people that's tried to help him because of the way he is. So, and not every one of them's like that. I have talked to some of them. They're highly intelligent. Many of them are. For whatever reason, they live like that. Down in Tennessee where I worked at, we had a couple of guys that would come in and do, we'd heat up a can of soup for them. They would take our trash out. They would clean up the parking lot or whatever to earn something to eat. They never asked us or expected us to give them anything free. This gentleman walked away from everything. He walked away from a good job, a home, children, everything. He just had enough. He had a breakdown and he couldn't handle it anymore. And he started living under the railroad track bridge and stuff. And he did it for years until finally he ended up being murdered by another street guy where this guy had found $100 and another street guy killed him over the $100. Now that's sad. Some of them goes around with cleaning buckets and they try to clean your car or whatever for a little bit of money. They go out there and try to earn some kind of money instead of begging for money. But then you got those that stands here with the street thing and saying, please help me. I'm homeless. I'm a disabled vet. My family, I need, gas money. They just have all these different signs for whatever reason. Now, my son's done that, but he finally got to the point. He just would put a sign up that said, just food. Just this, I just need food. And that's all he wanted. Just as long as he had food. He had to learn on a lot of things. Now, like I say again, this is not an easy life. They're out there in all kinds of weather. They're not getting the health care they need. Many of them needs to be on medication, just like my son does. And they're not getting their medication. Many of them are running from the law. They're running from themselves. That's basically it. They're running from themselves. They cannot handle responsibility for things. Whatever happened, something happened to them. It could have been a car wreck. They could have had the drug abuse, the alcohol abuse, the mental situation. They running away from it. And often in running away from it, they run into something even harder and worse than what they had before in many cases. Now, there is those, I call them trust fund babies. They travel around the United States. They do what they got to do, and they have money coming in regular. So they're not going without. So they can get a hotel room. They can eat. They can do whatever, and they're just traveling and walking across whatever country they're choosing to do. So they have money coming in, so they're not doing without. Problem is, many of them was 20 years old, and then they woke up to be 50 years old, and then they woke up to be 70 years old, if they live that long. I'm not ashamed of my son. Do I want him off the streets? Yes, I have tried to get him come off of it. I have made suggestions to go down to Mexico area at where some of the desert towns where there's only a small number of people living in, get a squatter's right, maybe try to get a place on abandoned buildings and stay in there, get some odd jobs, do something other to, if you don't want to be around people and you can live in peace like that. But even try to give them a home that I was in a process trying to repair. But he could not handle any of it. Now, even I was going through my own chaos, my own healing process. My knees was really bad. I could not physically do anything for a long time. I was severely depressed. I was struggling within my own self to try to improve my situation, to get better at what I was doing. So he has chose this life. He has chosen it. He could have a job if he wanted it. He could have been working if he wanted to. He could have been off the streets if he wanted to. Nothing wrong with traveling for about a year or two if you want to do it. But don't keep blaming everybody else for your problems. If you have been living out there and you keep living out there, you have chose that life. If you are an urban prepper, as he calls it, that's your choice of life. But urban prepper to me is different than what he considers himself urban prepper as. In an SHTF event, that lifestyle is going to be changed. Now, many of those that lives out of their backpacks does live in nature. They do live in the trails. They do have backpacks. They have tents. They live out there and they survive off the land and they follow the procedures and stuff of getting licensed or whatever they got to get. They do what they do, and then many of them, like I say, work for a while until they save up enough money so they can enjoy traveling. There's different types. I will always worry about my son. I used to cry. I used to call my mom up in tears. Have you heard from? I went 6 years without hearing about my son. Then I got to hear about him. And then he screwed me over. He left one of his buddies on me to take care of and support, and I finally had to make him leave. He screwed me over on that. Then he turned around, had nothing to do with me for a year. And then he turned around and came back in my life again. And then he has nothing to do with me again because it's all my fault, in his opinion. But it's his actions that's creating these problems. I wish he'd come off the street, but he lives out his backpack. This is his choice of life. I'm not ashamed of him, but I can't live like this. I cannot worry about it. I can't lose sleep over him anymore. I have my own life to live, my own off-grid desires to be away from people. And the way he is, he seems to create more problems than he does helping people. But he's got to learn to help himself and stop blaming me and everybody else for his problems. Like I said, I will always love my son. But it's a hard life. He's chose that life. And it's better that he lives his life and let me live my life because I can't do anything for him. He has to do it himself. So this is Life Prepper here. I want to tell you, be safe, be happy. Bless you.